What I'm about to read to you is the prologue to The Butcher of Pakistan. Aggressive fighting for the right is the noblest sport the world affords. Theodore Roosevelt. This is a true story. It's also a story that is not over. The story must be told before too much time passes and the uncertainty when this story will be over. For the victims of Durrani, it will never be over. The world must know now what happened to the victims of Dr. Abubakar Atiq Durrani. Unlike the stories you hear in the news regarding a surgeon performing horrific procedures or performing acts of sexual deviancy on patients, this story involves much worse, compounded evil. From 2005 to 2013, Durrani performed unnecessary spine surgeries on unsuspecting victims in Cincinnati, Ohio hospitals. The hospitals knew he performed these unnecessary procedures, but they craved the money Durrani generated. Durrani's insurance company, Medical Protective, refused to pay the victims. I fought and continue to fight an epic battle unlike any in the history of American law. The Ohio court system, led by the corrupt Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor, refused to provide the victims timely trials. The Kentucky Bar Association and Ohio disciplinary system would do all they could to aid Durrani by assailing me at every turn. This saga covers 1,000 victims and 1,000 anecdotes, including the following. A federal grand jury indicted Durrani for healthcare fraud. Rather than face a federal jury, Durrani fled to the United States to Pakistan. 79 men and women died waiting for their trials. More will sadly follow. At the rate trials are scheduled, trials will be going on for 20 more years. Deters law won a record number of verdicts, including the largest in Ohio history for a medical malpractice case. Durrani allowed his German Shepherd dog, Hank, to hang out in his lobby and patient rooms. Patients contracted MRSA. Hank had MRSA so bad, his veterinarian demanded Durrani not allow Hank around other animals or people. According to the veterinarian records, Hank's penis dripped with a pus as a result of his MRSA infection. A whistleblower against Durrani at Children's Hospital, Dr. Charles Melman, is pursuing a lawsuit against Children's Hospital over their retaliation against him. During this battle, I was suspended, retired, went broke, served time in jail for contempt fighting for trials, was banned from the courtroom, banned from the courthouse, considered suicide out of spite and frustration, fought 2 state bar associations, betrayed by friends and family, including my father, my brother, and the Hamilton County prosecutor, had the IRS criminal division sent after me, almost lost my arm, and nearly died from a staph infection, and yet kept the trust of 580 clients, financed the battle by borrowing and paying back millions, and to this day I still stand. One of my most important assistants in this cause is Sarah Jones York, a Cincinnati Bengals Bengal cheerleader who was fired as a teacher for a relationship with a student. She is now married to him and they have 3 children. She famously sued thedirty.com for defamation and won her trial. I successfully represented both in her criminal and civil case. Warren Buffett of Berkshire Hathaway owns Durrani's insurance company, Medical Protective. And Chuck Holbrook, another critical character in the story, flew to Omaha, Nebraska to lobby him for the victims. The attempt failed. Chuck Holbrook contacted Dog the Bounty Hunter about traveling to Pakistan to grab Durrani. We sent a similar message to Eric Prince of Backwater. A Cincinnati mass shooting outside and during our first federal trial targeted a federal judge in the same building as our trial. The shooter decided he could not pass the front door checkpoint, so he shot up a bank across the street. One of the trial lawyers for the Durrani victims, Fred Johnson, may have been murdered. Our lead trial lawyer, Alan Statman, also represented the chief witness against Pete Rose. One of Durrani's partners threatened to sniper shoot Dr. Tayeb, Durrani's employee, who turned against him. The law firm Deters Law is now owned by Glenn Fagan, whose family were mobsters in Newport, Kentucky in the 1950s and 60s, led by enforcer Screw Andrews. My grandfather, Bud Deters, editor of the Kentucky Times-Stars, served on the Cleanup Newport Committee against the mob. Today, Glenn and I, united in this cause, chuckle at the irony. We have set a record for affidavits of disqualifications against corrupt judges. We filed 40 total against Maureen O'Connor and Judge Mark Schweikert from December 15, 2017 to November 21, 2019. In the history of jurisprudence, no group of citizens in America suffered more incomprehensible justice than Durrani victims, including the following: all the pain, suffering, and misery from unnecessary spine surgeries, judicial corruption born from the medical industry money. In American history, no judge ever sealed jury verdicts. The Ohio judges sealed the Durrani victims' verdicts. The victims have faced unjust Ohio laws, including what is called the statute of repose and limitation on damages. All of this is explained in the book. In 10 years, there have been only 56 trials, 580 clients. That has now risen to 65. 79 men and women have died. That's now up to 90. The ordeal forced 40 victims to file bankruptcy. The ordeal forced countless foreclosures, evictions, and lawsuits against Durrani victims. Despite obvious bias, the judges refused to remove themselves. A corrupt judge entered a gag order against us speaking out. Local media failed to cover the story based upon the hospitals being one of their leading advertisers. We have faced countless unfair rulings, which are detailed in the book. The Ohio court system coddled Durrani, not the victims. Healthcare companies, Medicare and Medicaid, approved the unnecessary surgeries and then have sought reimbursement through what are called medical liens on the settlements we obtained. We sued them all on this issue. The state court refuses reputation, credibility, and impeachment evidence common in all trials. The state court withholds the truth of Durrani's absence. The state court refused BMP2 increased cancer evidence. You will learn about BMP2 in the book. The state court refused one filing for the massive court filings, which increased our court costs based upon the clerk charging $1 per page. If we file a 20-page brief in 500 cases, it costs $10,000. Our clients must pay these costs. The victims will be gravely prejudiced if one of our experts die or quit. And since this litigation will cover 20 more years, it will happen. The state court ordered us to pay all the court costs even before cases were resolved. This has never occurred in American legal history. The state court sat on post-trial motions for over a year. This delayed the appeals of our victories by 2 years. Medical Protective, Durrani's insurance company, makes no offers on any cases. COVID delayed trials for a year and a half. Estates and bankruptcies throw our clients into probate court and the bankruptcy court bureaucracy. We pay millions to try case after case, including out-of-town experts flying in for every trial. The bar associations investigate all baseless bar complaints against us, but ignore all the ones we file. David and Goliath has nothing on this story. From 2005 to 2013, Durrani performed unnecessary spine surgery on over 1,000 unsuspecting victims. The hospitals knew and looked the other way for the oldest reason since Judas took 30 pieces of silver. The destruction to the bodies, minds, and lives of the Durrani victims is unquantifiable. While refusing to succumb to all the obstacles, power, and corruption, I would nearly lose my arm, all I owned, my liberty, my law license in 3 states, and nearly my life. This litigation would pit me, nicknamed the Bulldog, and my merry band of loyal Nick people, as I referred to them, against Durrani, the largest medical malpractice insurance company in the country, the largest employers, largest hospitals, and largest defense firms in Cincinnati, Ohio. It is my hope this book grabs the attention of the entire country and pressure from every direction crashes down upon those responsible for all their harm. I must secure and define the malignant legacy of the butcher, the hospitals, their lawyers, the Ohio and Kentucky court system, Maureen O'Connor, Mark Schweikert, and all the rest. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. The victims of Dr. Durrani will have their day.